Daniel Carter had never complained about working harder than everyone else. As a single father raising his 8-year-old daughter, Lily he had learned to accept long hours, difficult clients, and the endless pressure of corporate life. He worked as a senior operations manager for one of the most powerful companies in the country. But despite his position, he lived a simple life. Every morning he prepared Lily's breakfast, helped her get ready for school, and reminded her that he would always come home, no matter how late his work became. His daughter was the center of everything he did. At the company, however, Daniel was known simply as a hardworking employee. Few people knew about his personal life, and even fewer knew that before becoming a single father, Daniel had quietly built a reputation in the business world. Years earlier, he had helped develop a revolutionary logistics system that had transformed several companies. But after his wife passed away, he walked away from the spotlight and chose a quiet life where he could raise Lily himself. He never told his colleagues about his past. He wanted to earn everything through his own work. One Monday morning, Daniel was called into the CEO's office. Victoria Harrington, the company's young and extremely successful CEO, was sitting behind her desk with several documents in front of her. She barely looked up before telling him that the company had an urgent project in Dubai. "We need someone we can trust," she said. "You're going." Daniel was stunned. "Dubai for how long?" 2 weeks. Maybe longer. Daniel immediately thought about Lily. "I have a daughter. I can't just disappear for weeks." Victoria looked at him carefully before saying, "Your daughter can come with you. The company will cover the expenses." Daniel was surprised by the offer. He had never received such special treatment from the company before. Still, something about Victoria's tone made him uncomfortable. It almost felt as though she wanted him away from the company for a reason. That evening, Daniel explained the trip to Lily. She was excited about flying to Dubai, but Daniel could see the worry in her eyes. He promised her that they would turn the business trip into a small adventure. For Lily, that was enough. 2 days later, Daniel arrived in Dubai with his daughter. The company had arranged a luxury hotel and a driver. Everything seemed unusually perfect. Daniel spent his first day attending meetings with international partners, trying to solve a serious problem involving a major contract. But during one meeting, he noticed something strange. Several executives seemed nervous whenever his name was mentioned. That evening, Daniel received a message from Victoria. "Do not discuss your previous business connections with anyone in Dubai." Daniel stared at the message for several seconds. Why would she say that? He had never told Victoria much about his past. The next morning, Daniel was asked to attend a private meeting at one of Dubai's most exclusive business towers. When he entered the enormous boardroom, he expected to meet another group of executives. Instead, everyone stood when an older billionaire businessman entered the room. The man walked directly toward Daniel. He studied him for several seconds before asking a question that left Daniel completely speechless. "Does your CEO know who you really are?" Daniel's expression changed. "What do you mean?" The billionaire smiled faintly. "I mean, does Victoria know that the man she sent to Dubai is the same man who once owned the technology her company is desperately trying to acquire?" Daniel's heart stopped. For years, he had hidden his past. But somehow, someone in Dubai already knew the truth. And the billionaire was not finished. He leaned closer and whispered, "Your CEO didn't send you here because she needed an employee." He paused. "She sent you here because she needs you." Daniel barely slept that night. The billionaire's words kept repeating in his mind. He had spent years hiding the truth about his past because he wanted nothing more than a peaceful life with Lily. He had never imagined that his old business connections would follow him across the world. The next morning, the billionaire, Alexander Reed, invited Daniel to a private breakfast. Lily sat beside her father, quietly eating, while Daniel listened to Alexander explain everything. Years ago, Daniel had created a logistics technology that could dramatically reduce international shipping costs. Several major corporations had tried to buy the rights, but Daniel had refused. After his wife's death, he had transferred control of the technology into a private holding company and disappeared. From the business world, Victoria's company had been searching for that technology for nearly 3 years. Daniel finally understood why she had suddenly sent him to Dubai. "She knows?" he asked. Alexander shook his head. She knows your name? She doesn't know the whole story. Daniel looked toward Lily. He realized that Victoria had probably discovered pieces of his past and wanted him in Dubai before anyone else could reach him. Later that afternoon, Daniel received another message from Victoria. "We need to talk. Do not trust Alexander." Daniel stared at the screen. A few minutes later, Alexander received a message of his own. He looked at Daniel and calmly said, "She told you not to trust me, didn't she?" Daniel said nothing. Alexander smiled. "Then she knows more than I expected." He placed a folder on the table. Inside were documents proving that someone within Victoria's company had been secretly attempting to steal Daniel's old technology. The Dubai contract was not simply a business deal. It was a trap designed to force Daniel to reveal ownership of the technology. Daniel finally understood why he had been sent away from headquarters. Someone wanted access to his secret. That evening, Daniel confronted Victoria through a private video call. "Why did you send me here?" Victoria remained silent for several seconds. Then she admitted the truth. "I discovered who you were 6 months ago." Daniel felt betrayed. "You knew?" "I knew you had created something valuable," Victoria replied. "But I didn't know where the original ownership documents were. I thought if I sent you to Dubai, the people trying to steal it would reveal themselves." Daniel was furious. "You used my daughter and me as bait." Victoria lowered her eyes. "I was trying to protect the company." "No," Daniel said quietly. "You were trying to protect your company. There's a difference." Before Victoria could answer, Alexander entered the room. He told Daniel that he could expose everyone involved. But there was one condition. Daniel had to finally stop hiding. Daniel looked at Lily, who was sitting nearby drawing a picture of the three of them. For years, he had believed that staying invisible was the safest way to protect his daughter. But now he realized that sometimes hiding from the past only gave other people the power to control your future. The next morning, Daniel walked into the biggest business conference in Dubai. Hundreds of executives were waiting. Alexander stood beside him. Victoria was sitting in the front row. Daniel stepped onto the stage and calmly introduced himself. "I've spent years allowing people to believe I was just an employee." He paused. "My name is Daniel Carter, and I am the original owner of the technology your companies have been fighting over." The entire room fell silent. Victoria stared at him. Alexander smiled. And Daniel finally understood that the question, "Does your CEO know who you are?" He had never really been about his identity. It was about whether he was finally ready to remember it himself.